Creo que algo se me ha insertado, ¿no?
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. I'm your host, Nico. This is your one-stop shop, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Anyways, today, guys, we have an awesome show for you guys. And of course, I want to give a shout out to my awesome co-host. How you doing, Opti?
What's up, Nico? I am doing well. My hair doesn't look as nice as I thought it would be, guys, but I keep messing it up for you guys. Anyways, this is going to be a good show. Let's just get into this, Nico. Let's get the people in here.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be a good show. Today, we're going to talk about something very interesting because I hear this all the time and I wanted to cover it today. I'm too late to Bitcoin, right? You look back on Bitcoin, you're like, holy crap. You know, this thing was pennies on the dollar. This thing was $1. This thing was $100. Maybe I'm too late. What's going on? So we're going to talk about that today. And we're also going to talk about a little bit about, because I think it's very hard to zoom out. I think it's very hard to get a perspective of where you are sometimes, right? Bitcoin has been functioning like a stable coin literally for the past like 3 weeks. It's basically at 23K, right? I think it's making everyone nervous. It's like, oh, is it going to go down
up
lower?
A little bit, Nico. We're up a little bit. We're at 24 right now.
We're at 24, right? Because of the inflation data. We're going to talk about that today. So anyways, we got a hell of a show lined up for you guys. It's going to be very special. Anyways, Opti, it's time. I think it's time to start the show. Here we go. Time for
Number time.
Brought to you by Nodl. They make some of the best Bitcoin nodes, like the Nodl One, the one I'm holding in my hand. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. Remember, guys, if you don't run your own node, like the Nodl, you're using someone else's. And now, if you are a digital nomad, you have no excuse because the Nodl guys just released Nodl Cloud. Run a Nodl through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu. Boom. Yeah. Remember, guys, if you don't run your own node, you're using someone else's. Anyways, at the time of this recording, the Bitcoin price is at $24,050. Sats per dollar is at 4,158. Block height, 748,863. Reachable Bitcoin nodes, 15,000. Want that number to keep going up. Blocks to the halvening, 91,137. Halving estimate, April 20th, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 1,268 Bitcoin. The fiat caca value of that is around 30.5 million USD. Hash rate, last 90 days, 208 exahashes. Annual mining revenue, $14.2 billion. Realized monetary inflation. Ooh, I added something new. That's right. What is the inflation rate of Bitcoin? There, it tells you right there, 1.79%. That inflation rate will be cut in half during the halving. And now if you compare that to the inflation rate of fiat, the US dollar right now is at 8.5% or 8.7%. And Bitcoin's is guaranteed to get cut in half every 4 years. You guys decide who wins this race. Anyways, all coins issued August 2nd, 2,137. Unless they come up with some new technologies or something, we'll all most likely be dead by that date. So yeah, holy crap, you know, Bitcoin is more predictable than anything that has come before it. Anyways, check this out. I told you guys, if you're too late to Bitcoin. And sometimes it's useful to zoom out, right? You're like, look, man, I got my stack. Holy crap. You know, this is nothing. Like, look at all those OGs. Look at all those people with all that Bitcoin. This is why it's good to go over some of this stuff. And I actually have a video for you guys as well. Anyways, let's check it out. Pete Ruzzo. Here are the details. Bought 9,000 Bitcoin on one of the exchanges over time. Transferred them to my client running on a Linux Live CD distro of Debian, backed up the wallet, filed to a flash drive, sent 1 Bitcoin to myself, closed client before any confirmations, shut down system, loaded system back up, copied old wallet that file. After some confirmations appeared, the balance was 1 Bitcoin. There was a transaction saying I spent 8,900 Bitcoin to an address I did not recognize. I read on the forum threads that people have had problems like this, but it seemed only when they were trying to double spend by sending coins to another address and reloading an old wallet file. Is there anything I could do? I do have the address that the 8,900 were supposedly sent to, but the old wallet file is gone for good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is worth $200 million today. That simple mistake. And again, at that time, that was August 10th, 2010. That 9,000 Bitcoin wasn't worth a lot, right? So again, when in doubt, zoom out. Anyways, moving on. This is Bitcoin obituaries on 99bitcoins.com. The Bitcoin has died 461 times, right? Let's take a look at this. Is by the Underground Economist. The name of the article says, Why Bitcoin Can't Be a Currency. It was at 23 cents when they wrote that article. Moving on. This is documenting Bitcoin. No one thought Bitcoin would work. That is why it worked. Bitcoin is a grassroots network that was able to grow slowly and carefully over time. It took over a decade to engineer the secure system we know today. And take a look at these traders, right? This was August 10th, 2011. I will be overjoyed if it at least goes to $20 again. I think the price will tend up. I read that right, guys. That is a post from August 2011, literally saying, I will be overjoyed if Bitcoin goes at least to $20. I just read you the price. We're at 24,000 at the time of recording. I think the price will trend up as the market has not yet priced in this event. The free press will bring in new people and cash, causing more of a demand. I'm definitely not selling my mined coins at the moment because of the potential of the event. This is very, very little downside to holding versus selling right at this moment. I'm hoping to sell above 15 in the next couple of weekends. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why you shouldn't trade. Now, I'm going to play this video, which is really interesting. It was posted by, shout out to you, brother, Shire Hoddle. It says footage of when the PC was declared dead, right? So not only did they declare Bitcoin dead, they also declared the personal computer dead, right? So again, moments like these and tweets like these and screenshots like these give you a perspective. It gives you like, holy crap, I just need to hodl. I just need to bunker down and hodl. Anyways, let's check out the video.
Computer sales, classroom computer sales seem to have peaked and now have hit a flat period, and some say they're going to.
I don't think so.
Oh yes, they've hit a flat period. What should that tell us?
I really don't believe that they've hit a flat period. The computer market has been and is rising at about 30% per year, and nowhere has there been a flat period.
It is not rising at nearly the rate it was going.
Yes, it is.
No, well, we disagree. We're looking at two different sets of numbers. My question to you is the home computer destined to become the CB of the 80s, the hula hoop of the 80s?
Well, I'm glad you brought this analogy, because like a CB, it won't be very useful in its present form, which is just talking to yourself and to your computer. But like a CB, when it starts talking to other computers throughout the whole country, when we have several million machines interconnected, and people can talk to each other and can exchange views and can transact, can buy and sell information, can buy and sell informational services, labor. I think it's going to be a very interesting period where we'll have an information marketplace, a new way of life.
I quite disagree.
I want to get him angry.
Yeah, I think that won't work. I think that the home computer is going to suffer the same fate, by and large, as, say, the home movie camera. People had the idea, and still have the idea that if I have a very expensive, a very good home movie camera, then they can make very good movies. The trouble
You're still
is,
got to be a good movie maker first.
That's right. The trouble is you have to have an idea, okay, and people forget that. Similarly, to write good and interesting programs on a computer, one has to have an idea. Ideas are hard to come by.
Professor Weizenbaum, Professor de Touzos. Thank you both.
So, what is the moral of the story? Moral of the story is, if you don't learn from the past, you're destined to repeat it, right? That guy wasn't talking about Bitcoin. That guy was talking about computers, right? Peter Schiff has a very similar sentiment, right? Robini had a very similar sentiment as well, right? And all the other Bitcoin detractors that we know so well on Twitter. But over time, what it becomes very apparent is that all these people are just catastrophically wrong. So yeah, man, when in doubt, zoom out. When I know that the day-to-day might seem overbearing to a lot of you, but this is just the beginning. Bitcoin's only been around for 13 years, 14 years. And the reason I showed you that stat in the beginning by Clark Moody dashboard is, look, last Bitcoin still isn't even going to be mined. The block subsidy still doesn't run out until 2132. I think humanity doesn't understand and fully appreciate what the consequences of a currency that has absolute scarcity like Bitcoin. But so far for its existence, I read you those posts. It went from $10, it went from under $1 to $24,000. Even if Bitcoin does 25% of that, that is still life-changing. That is a life-changing opportunity in front of you. All you have to do is stack, earn, mine, and hodl. Don't try to trade. Stay humble and stack sats. Anyways, Opti, what's up, brother?
Well, I really love that video, Nico, because home computers are so dead right now. Like, I imagine what we'd be doing right now, because we have a home computer. It's so dead. Imagine that. But just to your point, like, personally, I still feel like I'm so early to Bitcoin. It blows my mind. Not only is the Bitcoin market cap at under $500 billion right now, but furthermore, like, if you go out in public and you talk to people about Bitcoin, usually their first impression is like, Bitcoin, like, what is Bitcoin? That's a scam. Or like, Bitcoin's not real anything. Like, what are you talking about? So just look around you guys, go talk to people in the streets and try to get them to talk about Bitcoin, and they're going to look at you crazy. And if this isn't a sign of us being early to Bitcoin, I don't know what else is, because as far as we all know, Bitcoin is the best way to store your value, to save your wealth, to make sure that your wealth isn't debased by fiat currencies. And even furthermore, like, people don't even know what fiat means. Like, is this not more proof that we are early to this stuff, guys? It blows my mind that people still believe that we are late to this, because Bitcoin's at 20K or whatever. And it's like, guys, zoom out. We are so early. It's incredible. And furthermore, I absolutely love the Bitcoin obituaries, because it makes our point for us. It's like, look at all these people, quote unquote authorities, telling you that Bitcoin is dead, and Bitcoin is just continuing to go up in price. And then furthermore, I saw I did a quote tweet on the Simply Bitcoin Twitter account yesterday, and it was a quote by King Pleb himself, Mr. Hodl, and it said, 5 billion people on the internet and only 21 million Bitcoin. And you're still bearish, guys. Like, that was my tweet. You're still bearish on Bitcoin when, like, it's an incredibly small number of people that are holding Bitcoin, that are saving Bitcoin, that are out there like you, being toxic Bitcoin maximalists, spreading the sound money gospel. We're so early. It's absolutely insane. I think it's just human psychology, where you're so close to this that you can't zoom out, and you lose the forest for the trees. But guys, we're so early. And I know people make fun of us because we're always saying we are early, but it's very obvious that we are early. Like Nico said, we're 13 years into this monetary experiment. And if Bitcoin does what it does, if the monetary policy stays strong, we still have 100 years to go before there's the last Bitcoin to be fully distributed. Like, we're so early. And I fundamentally believe, like, Bitcoin's going to be around for thousands of years. So what, 13 years, thousands of, like, we're so early. It's incredible.
Dude, we are absolutely so early. I agree with that. And one last thing, right? Oh, shout out Mr. Robot in the audience. Whoop, whoop. Becca. Whoop, whoop. Hammersaw. John. Thank you guys all for coming. Loco. Shout out to you, brother, for being the first in the chat. We saw that. But I'm going to push back a little bit on the computer comment that you made. So what they miscalculated, right? Because it's very hard to think about future innovation, right? And the way that they see Bitcoin today is like, holy crap, Bitcoin can't scale, Bitcoin can't do this, Bitcoin can't do that. What they're missing, right, is that they're underestimating people's ability to innovate. The home computer or the computer did take over the world. Everybody has a computer. But it's not the computer that was in the 90s. It looks like this. This is your little personal computer, and it's designed for humans to use with fingers and stuff. But that is the computer. It just innovated to that. How is Bitcoin going to be in 20 years? Of course, the base layer isn't going to change. It stays the way it does, right? Or very minor changes. But what's going to be built on top of it, what the possibilities are with the Lightning Network, is something that we can't even imagine today. But it's never made me so bullish about the future. We're not early. We're just getting started. At the end of the day, we are what? Trying to free the world from government money, separating money from state. What? Dude. Never been so excited. Anyways, Opti, let's get to the news. It's time for
The Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make some of the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. Comes in any custom color your heart desires. That's right. You want in Peter Schiff colors? Yeah, it comes in gold, and you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 5% off if you're in Europe. The European store is now open. Check out CryptoCloaks.com today. Boom. All right, so the CPI numbers came out today. Let's talk about that, shall we? U.S. inflation decelerates more than forecast on gas price drops. Let's break down this article. U.S. inflation decelerated in July by more than expected, reflecting lower energy prices, which may take some pressure off the Federal Reserve to continue aggressively hiking interest rates. The consumer price increased 8.5% from a year earlier, cooling from the 9.1% June advance that was the largest in 4 decades. Labor Department data showed Wednesday prices were unchanged from the prior month. A decline in gasoline offset increases in food and shelter costs. So-called core CPI, which strips out the more volatile food and energy components, rose 0.3%. Sorry, someone came in. But okay, let's just talk about this a little bit, right? Here's the thing, right? And here is a picture from Wikipedia, right? This is I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is basically the picture of the representation of how hyperinflation happened in Weimar Germany, right? This is 1918, and it took more than 5 years for it to happen. But what I want you guys to focus on, of course, this isn't a very detailed graph, but it still makes my point, is that it wasn't in a straight line, right? There was peaks, there was valleys, right? There's a peak, there's a valley, there's a peak, there's a valley. There's little tiny peaks and valleys here. Peak valley, peak valley. Even when it was starting peak valley, I'm sure every single time those peak valleys hit, the equivalent of these articles came out back in the day, right? So let's take, but if you actually look at the data a little bit more, right, it kind of tells a different story. So-called core CPI, which strips out the more volatile food and energy components, rose 0.3% from June and 5.9% from a year ago. So the core CPI looks like it's still going up. Anyways, cost of living. While a drop in gasoline prices is good news for Americans, their cost of living is still painfully high, forcing many to load up on credit cards and drain savings. After data last week showed still robust labor demand and firmer wage growth, a further deceleration in inflation could take some of the urgency off the Fed to extend outsized interest rate hikes. Food costs, however, climbed 10.9% from a year ago, the most since 1979. Used car prices decreased. So, food prices, holy crap, 10%, and that's 10% with their metric. Anyways, shelter costs, which are the biggest services component and make up about a third of the overall CPI index, rose 0.5% from June and 5.7% from last year, the most since 1991. That reflected a 0.7 jump in rent of primary of residence. So, what does all this mean? It means like, yeah, inflation went a little bit down, right? And maybe it's gonna come down. But here's the thing, right? But if you don't learn from the past, you're destined to repeat it. Look how many times inflation came down in the 5 years of the whole hyperinflation thing that happened in Weimar Germany, which led the German people to elect one of the worst fascist governments in human history that led to the murder of millions of people. Inflation, hyperinflation is not a good thing. People become desperate. Anyways, check this out. So the name of the episode today was, Are You Late to Bitcoin? Well, we should talk about that, right? Let's say you're late to Bitcoin. Let's play devil's advocate, right? You're not, Bitcoin isn't going to grow as early as possible. You're not going to become a billionaire, whatever. But still, it doesn't take away from the fact that Bitcoin is the best savings technology there ever was, even with this amount of inflation, right? And remember, guys, keep in mind, just because inflation went from 9.1% to 8.5%, that doesn't mean that prices went down. That means that the increase in pricing slowed down just a little bit, but those prices will never come back down, right? And that's something that a lot of people miss as well, right? So anyways, even with 8.5% inflation, right? Even with Bitcoin being 70% down from all-time high, let's take a look at what happens when you save in Bitcoin. This is one of my favorite sites, priced in Bitcoin. This is crude oil, right? Even with oil prices being at all-time highs, if you were saving in Bitcoin, oil would be 72% cheaper. If you waited 5 years, natural gas would be 60% cheaper. And looks like natural gas pumped also. Gasoline would be 72% cheaper if you waited 5 years. Propane would be 78% cheaper. And what about housing? Because I know a lot of people are talking about that, right? So let's check this out as well. Median new house, 78% cheaper on a 3-year scale, even with housing prices increasing over 100% over the last 2 years. Houses are still 34% cheaper if you were saving in Bitcoin. What about a new car? 41% cheaper. What about chicken breast? 38% cheaper. What about ground beef? 41% cheaper. What about steak? 28% cheaper. And it keeps going and going. This is why we make the argument that Bitcoin is the best savings technology that has ever existed in human history. And of course, it is also the most secure money that has ever existed. It's hard to confiscate. It can't be debased. And you want to know why Bitcoin is the best savings technology that ever existed? It's precisely because it can't be debased by an institution or government. How long until Ethereum's so-called deflationary policy changes because of political pressure? How long until that happens? Bitcoin is rules without rulers. Bitcoin successfully separated the monetary policy out of the hands of human beings, because as long as it's in the hands of human beings, that means it can change, and it will change as long as there's a certain amount of political pressure. And if we look at history, that happens time and time again. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, brother? I'll be right back.
No worries. Yeah, well, as I tweeted this morning, when I did the post, I got to keep you guys updated. And we got the numbers in this morning, July CPI at 8.5%. And I just responded, oh, wow, they figured out a way to manipulate CPI to look like inflation is receding. Color me surprised. If you've been around Simply Bitcoin for a while, you know very well that the CPI numbers, the inflation numbers are very easily manipulatable. And I know you covered this in the news, but I will show some stuff in the fail, hopefully, if we got enough time, because I think this is a fail as well. But I want to make a point that you said, and I've been echoing the same thing a lot, Nico. I really like the framing of saving in Bitcoin versus buy Bitcoin or investing in Bitcoin, because I think it makes a better point for people that a lot of us here aren't here to just invest in Bitcoin. Like, we're not here to trade for fiat gains. We're here to save our wealth in Bitcoin. And it just reminds me of the meme, Bitcoin isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's a don't get poor slowly scheme. And while a lot of people miss that, I think this is the message we need to tell people. It's like, look, the dollar is robbing you slowly. And the numbers that they are using, the manipulated numbers that they are using, are still at 8.5%. It was at 9% last month, and now it's at 8.5%. Remember when they were telling you that the inflation was only going to be above 2%? Now they're happy that it's 4 times that. Like, this is absolutely insane. These people are crazy. Hence why we tell you guys, save in Bitcoin. You know, just keep it simple, provide the value, and save in Bitcoin. Go live your life, because the dollar or fiat currencies are stealing from you very slowly. And this is why you feel the yoke tightening up, and you are more nervous and more emotionally distraught in the rat race. Like, they are slowly stealing your time. And Bitcoin stops that. This is why we Bitcoin. This is why we come here every single day to tell you guys to save in Bitcoin, because I don't know about you, but this gets me pissed off. And I can't believe people just go on their daily life like this is the status quo. Fundamentally, I just don't understand how people live like this. But hey, maybe we're the smart plebs over here or something. Just the average smart Bitcoiner. We know something they don't know, but it really blows my mind that people can miss the nuance going on here, and they just fall for the gaslighting hook, line, and sinker. It's absolutely crazy talk. Clown world confirmed.
Clown world confirmed. That's right. Anyways, moving on. So this is a little bit of a follow-up from yesterday. Some news dropped after the fact. Circle freezes blacklisted Tornado Cash smart contracts. If you guys missed yesterday's episode, the U.S. government, for the time in its history, sanctioned not a people, not a government, but a certain software. And we made the case yesterday that that was the prelude to eventually perhaps sanctioning certain open source software that we're all using, that we're all big fans of, that this show is named after. Anyways, setting the tone, setting the precedent. Anyways, there's an article by Cointelegraph. Circle freezes blacklisted Tornado Cash smart contract addresses. So what are they talking about? Circle is basically the developer or the company behind USDC, right? So, and that is a stable coin. And what we always say is that stable coins provide a false sense of sovereignty. Those addresses of those stablecoin addresses, they can and will be frozen if there is political pressure against the developer. In this case, it was Circle, right? And if you compare that with Bitcoin, there is no institution, there is no Bitcoin CEO to pressure to freeze certain addresses, which is why Bitcoin is called the money of enemies. Anyways, let's check it out. Crypto data aggregator Dune Analytics said that on Monday, Circle, the issuer of the USDC stablecoin, froze over 75,000 USDC worth of funds linked to the 44 Tornado Cash addresses sanctioned by the U.S. Office of Foreign Asset Control. And here's a picture of that. Circle just froze 75,000 USDC belonging to unsuspecting Tornado users, as well as 149 USDC donated to the project. Now, something really interesting happened yesterday, right? Is that as soon as those addresses were sanctioned, the so-called crypto community fought back, right? Someone is trolling celebs by sending ETH from Tornado Cash. And this was funny because the Coin Center article that we covered yesterday actually anticipated that this would happen. And they said an American who has sent money through the Tornado.cash address is not even able to reject the transaction, and yet may be at the moment technically in violation of OFAC rules. And that's exactly what happened, right? Here we go. An anonymous user sent a slew of Tornado Cash transactions to high-profile Ethereum addresses on Tuesday in what appears to be a troll, implicating them in a potential regulatory mess. Affected wallets include those controlled by Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, TV host Jimmy Fallon, clothing brand Puma, and a wallet created for donations to Ukraine, according to Etherscan. And here's a picture of all of his addresses being sent to all those public addresses that belong to public figures. And again, why is this happening? Because they're trying to basically implement the old system of inclusion on top of Bitcoin. And it doesn't work. So are those people that got Tornado Ethereum in trouble now, or Tornado USDC? Are they in trouble? Are they implicated in a crime? What's going on there? And this leads me to believe that perhaps the Treasury knew this was the case. They knew that this was going to happen, and that would give them even more ammunition for further regulations down the road, basically making the case, yo, you can't download certain Bitcoin software, Americans can't download certain Bitcoin software because it doesn't allow the US government to implement their sanction policy, of which their sanction policy is only so effective because the US is the global reserve currency. And not only to mention as well, right, is that, dude, look at the effects of those sanctions. The U.S. has had sanctions on North Korea. The U.S. has sanctions on Venezuela. The U.S. has sanctions on Cuba. The U.S. had sanctions against Afghanistan. And none of those governments collapsed because of U.S. sanctioned policy. So who are the real victims of sanctions? It's the citizens of those countries that just want to get by. They have nothing to do with their governments. Right? Look at the case in Afghanistan. What happened when the U.S. government shut down Afghanistan's ability to communicate with the global financial system due to the U.S. Army withdrawing and, the Taliban taking over? What happened? All the people in Afghanistan didn't have access to the global financial system. Is that their fault? But you know what gave them access? You know what still worked in Afghanistan? Bitcoin. And I think there's going to be an inevitable clash between the old system and the new system. I think it's inevitable. And I think that for us, basically the way that you could protect yourself is by running your own node and taking Bitcoin into self-custody. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, I might take a little different angle on here because I kind of applaud those shitcoiners that were tainting all those UTXOs and those whale addresses. Like that was pretty based in my opinion. It reminded me of a tweet that Giacomo Zucco put out, and shouts out to Giacomo. He's a toxic forefather out there, and I love his Twitter accounts and all the stuff he does. He's a legend in my eyes. But he echoed the same thing, or basically I am echoing what he said. And he goes, I despise shitcoins, especially this one, but this is a good practice we Bitcoiners should copy. Sending sats from join market mixes to all known whale addresses. I don't really believe in tainting UTXOs because I believe that fundamentally someone will take those UTXOs if they're incentivized enough for it. But I think this would be a pretty cool practice to see people do, at large, because then it's like the powers that be wouldn't be able to try to do this same thing to Bitcoiners and furthermore, if you understand UTXO management, you can avoid all this. There's a lot of nuance here, but I think this is very interesting, and I am very interested and a bit concerned to see how this will play out. We said that yesterday. Like, I don't know how this will play out in the end, but it's pretty interesting to watch. And of course, like, kind of, I know this is simply Bitcoin, and I don't want to give shitcoiners a good pat on the back, but like, shouts out to you guys for changing all those UTXOs. I think that's pretty hilarious and awesome, but I don't know. Anyways, Nico, you keep going.
Yeah, dude, we got a comment by John. I don't know if he was being sarcastic, but it says starving Russians will inspire them to overthrow Putin. See North Korea. Yeah, that was what it was supposed to do on paper, but that's never happened before. So yeah, it's just, again, it's like ideas being put to reality, and then rather than saying, okay, this idea maybe sucks, they double down on it, right? And that is literally the bureaucracy for you. Anyways, Opti, should we do one more story?
Yeah, man, why not?
All right, let's do it. All right, so let's talk about the villain of Bitcoin. Yes, he's real. That's not a cartoon character. That is Agustin Carson, or Gustins Carsons. He was the head of the Central Bank of Mexico, and he is currently the head of the Bank of International Settlements. This is the guy that came out with that very infamous video saying central bank digital currencies will give banks absolute control over their people, right? So yeah, this is the final boss of Bitcoin. This is him. This is the guy that you'll have nightmares about. Let me zoom in. And he's very upset. You want to know why he's very upset? because of Bitcoin. Anyways, let's check it out. Here is this article by Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is awesome. It says Australia's central bank working with BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, to launch digital currency system. Australia's Reserve Bank is launching a pilot program over the course of the next year in collaboration with the Bank of International Settlements to test the benefits of a blockchain ledger-based digital current system. If a blockchain is not a public, decentralized ledger, there's absolutely no reason to use a blockchain. A blockchain is a very inefficient database. And for a central bank digital currency, which central banks are going to want to have absolute control of, what they really need is a database. But of course, that doesn't sound good with marketing. Anyways, the central bank is added to a long list of participants in the Bank of International Settlements efforts to introduce central bank digital currencies, with the target goal of launching them globally by 2025 to 2030. That sucks for them, because that gives Bitcoin a lot more time for Bitcoin to do its thing, and its thing is number go up, baby. Though many people use electronic transactions as a matter of convenience, a large portion of the population still prefers cash. The usage of digital payment systems also does not necessarily denote a societal shift away from the idea of cash. It only shows a preference for convenience. People still like to know that cash exists as an option if they need it or want it, but central banks are working diligently to remove physical cash as a choice within the next 8 years. Did you hear that? If people still want to use cash, why are central banks so hell-bent on trying to remove it? What is going on here? With the advent of widespread central bank digital currencies, the very notion of privacy and trade would utterly disappear from society within a generation. Not only that, but if these currencies are tied into a social credit system like the one used in communist China, then there's a good chance governments will be able to freeze accounts and even erase your savings at the push of a button. And without physical cash, there would be no recourse for trade. Well, of course, there's Bitcoin. A person deemed problematic could be locked out of the economy on a whim. This is a wet dream for governments and central banks. Anyways, the fact that the Bank of International Settlements is so heavily involved in a national digital currency program suggests that the ultimate goal of central bank digital currencies will be an eventual global digital currency. That's right. That is the World Economic Forum, all the bureaucrats. That is their wet dream. A global digital currency of which they have absolute control of. And this is why I'm not exaggerating when I say we have a future between slavery and Bitcoin and freedom, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be decentralized, and then you have the centralized alternative, with the Chinese Communist Party is a big fan of, is the central bank digital currency. Don't fall for their BS. Anyways, with so many physical currencies in use around the world and at least 30% of each Western nation preferring cash, there is little chance that central banks will be able to force the issue of central bank digital currencies unless there is an economic downturn or crash that inspires a public outcry for alternatives to existing currencies. Meaning, banking elites will need a crisis that damages the very buying power of multiple currency systems in order to get people an aggressive shift to a cashless society before 2030. Do you see how Bitcoin just ruined their plans? It just ruined their plans, man. This is where this was always heading. Anyways, the pitfalls of such a framework are many, and the potential for abuse goes far beyond the idea of fiat money printing. Could you imagine? Not only will they abuse you by debasing the currency that you work and you earn in, they also will abuse you by literally freezing your account at will. Look at what happened to Canada. Look what happened to Canadians in Canada. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Central bank digital currencies would give banks and governments ultimate power of influence over the populace, inspiring fear in individuals as they consider the threat that their access to the economy could be severed at any moment should they say or do anything in defiance of authorities. Banks and politicians will try to sell central bank digital currencies as the pinnacle of convenience and a necessary transition in order to stabilize the economy. What they will not mention is the pervasive level of control they will gain in the process. And they're not even hiding that anymore. You saw that video by Augustus Carson. Central bank digital currencies will give us central bankers absolute control. Absolute control. Like, they're not even hiding anymore. If you want to know what the party of Davos is doing, the World Economic Forum, this is what they're pushing for. Your only way out of this future. And of course, it's a little obfuscated right now because the only thing saving us from this cashless society that they want to implement is that around 30% of people still use cash. But what happens if that number is going to start dwindling down? Have you noticed that inflation keeps doing its thing, but the bill sizes remain the same? What happens in 20, 30 years when that $100 bill has almost no purchasing power? They're going to say, it's for money laundering. We can't have people using cash. What's going on there? Your protest against this, your peaceful protest is saying, dude, fuck that. Fuck your slavery model. I'm going to opt out. I'm going to use Bitcoin. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, my first thought was a troll. The Bank of International Settlements trying to create a CBDC. Is this going to be built on ETH? Because... Yeah. All right. Anyways, of course, central banks and central bankers want you tracked and bagged. Of course, they're trying to eliminate cash. It's the only way to privately transact. Well, besides Bitcoin, but the only way in the legacy system to privately transact. So, of course, they're going to try to stop that escape route. We've been saying this about Bitcoin since this show started, is that they know what game is happening and they know that they need to stop the escape route. Like, they fundamentally know what game we are playing and they are playing, and we've called their bluff. And so now they're scrambling and they're trying to figure out ways to control you. And we keep bringing the receipts about they're saying the quiet part out loud now. Like, this is how far gone they've gone. You know, they aren't even ashamed of telling you that they are trying to control you completely so that you can't save, you can't transact, you can't say things they don't want you to say. Like, this is absolute bananas. And then if you remember what we showed you guys in the numbers yesterday about them trying to deplatform people, like, they keep saying this over and over. They are obviously pushing to stop freedom of speech, stop freedom of association, because they understand that they have fundamentally lost control. And so they have to stop the escape routes. And there's only a few escape routes. And furthermore, like, cash is not an escape route. Like we said a minute ago, you're losing value slowly, but you can transact privately. So there is trade-offs. But of course, this is what a central banker is going to say. And then furthermore, I don't want to get conspiratorial again, Nico. I know you have to bring me in, but a one world currency backed by the quote unquote powers that be, or the small cabals at the top, or however you want to name this, sounds very Luciferian to me, and it sounds like what you say. And like I'll stop there, Nico. I'll just stop there.
Oh man. If we're going down the Alex Jones route, that's funny. They're demons, bro. They're demons. But yeah, man. Look, dude. There's no there. You can't deny that they want a one world government. Okay, they're saying that themselves. The World Economic Forum propaganda. You'll nothing and be happy. Yeah, if they get their way and they implement central bank digital currencies, you'll own nothing and be happy because you'll have no other choice, bro. And this is why they attack Bitcoin the way they do. This is why they hate Bitcoin. This is the fight of our lives. And I suspect, I keep making this prediction, as time goes by, you're going to have to make a choice. Right now, it's a little bit obfuscated, right? But as time goes by, as governments lose their power on the monopoly and the creation of money and the monopoly of people using dollars, because of the threat of violence, right? Like, illegal tender laws are so messed up. It's like, use our dollar, that loses value, or else. It's like, why can't I earn in Bitcoin? Why can't I pay in Bitcoin? Those are all very good questions. Like, what's going on there? Look, not only do you have to pay income tax, but you also have to pay inflation tax too? What is going on here? This is very strange. Fine, you could have made the argument before you had no other alternative. There was no other good alternative. But now that Bitcoin exists, why are we doing this? Why are we putting up with this? Anyways, those are all very good questions to ask yourself. Anyways, Opti, we gotta move on. I think it's time for the fail.
It's time for
The Daily Fail.
brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best place to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. They incentivize dollar cost averaging. Spread out that risk, layer into Bitcoin, use it as a savings technology rather than speculation. Check out SwanBitcoin.com today.
All right. I also want to give a shout out to Pacific Bitcoin. It's the largest Bitcoin conference on the West Coast. You're not going to want to miss it. It's a 2-day experience leading the way to a bright orange future. It's November 10th through the 11th in Los Angeles, California. The speaker list includes Corey Clipston, Jeff Booth, Dylan Leclerc, Pierre Richard, Mark Moss, Guy Swan, Alex Gladstein, and many, many more. You're not going to want to miss this huge Bitcoin celebration, Pacific Bitcoin. And guys, this is your last day to take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY to get 20% off your tickets. After this, that 20% off will go down to 10%, so you're going to definitely want to take advantage of it. Anyways, Opti, what do you have for us today, brother?
Well, you guys already know, or better yet, I already know how much you guys love dunking on Coinbase. So you guys heard about Coinbase, but let me recap so you guys can feel what is actually going on. So I've been covering Coinbase for now, since I've started the show with Simply Bitcoin, and I'm going to bring the receipts, and hopefully I can get to the second fail, but we probably won't. Anyways, let's just go back to a little memory hole. You know, Coinbase announces they will slow hiring after revealing a net loss of $430 million. Next, we got FTX official surpasses Coinbase for the first time in trade volume. Is Coinbase sinking again? Coinbase extends hiring pause for foreseeable future and resigns number of accepted offers. Okay, Coinbase apps downloads dropped by 55% in 2022 and plunged 79% since 2021. Coinbase slashes 18% of workforce. And look at the dates, June 14, 2022. The next few days, Goldman Sachs downgrades Coinbase stock rating. And we go on to find out that Coinbase is selling your information to ICE. And then we continue to go down. Coinbase fail, and Coinbase is temporarily shutting down its affiliate marketing for influencers. And then I absolutely love this tweet. Coinbase head of U.S. policy calls for the need for shitcoin firms to self-regulate as the sector consolidates, pot calling kettle black. And then we had the news about the SEC probe into insider trading in Coinbase. This is just all adding up as really bad news for Coinbase, but let's keep going. Again, they're facing a probe by the SEC. Kathy Woods dumps her 1.42 million Coinbase shares. What did she know? She actually came back and said that she dumped it because of the concerns with the SEC, whatever. And then we heard this week or last week, beginning of this week, that Coinbase partners with BlackRock. And today, the big news, Coinbase posts a $1.09 billion net loss in quarter 2 of 2022. Big oof. So let's get into this article over here at Bloomberg. Coinbase disappoints with user forecasts, revenues miss. Coinbase Global posted a record $1.1 billion second quarter loss and lower than expected revenue as the largest U.S. shitcoin exchange was battered by tumbling digital asset prices. Before I get into this, guys, I'm gonna show you the receipts, but mind you the framing that Coinbase PR is trying to spin on this, and we shall talk about it for a minute. Anyway, shares of the company dropped about 6.6% in trading. Coinbase has slumped 65% so far this year amid what has been labeled as the latest shitcoin winter. Revenue declined by more than 60% to $808.3 million, missing the 4.8 million estimates from analysts. Monthly transacting users dropped by $9 million in the second quarter, 2% decline from last quarter. Trading volumes also dropped. Bitcoin, but here, I forgot. Here's some signal in here, guys. Bitcoin's share of trading volume rose to 31% from 24%. So it looks like all those shitcoiners that got wrecked are finally coming back to Bitcoin because the volume trading in Bitcoin is rising. Anyways, total assets on platform plunged 63% to 96 billion. And here's where we get the PR spin. The current downturn came fast and furious, adding that the soft shitcoin market conditions are continuing into the third quarter. Core retail customers are sitting on the sidelines because of the downturn and because of all the uncertainty. Investors had expected a pretty ugly quarter on trading revenue. And in the shitcoin winter, the big theme is the diversification continues. Oh my God. Such as through stake interest income. Anyways, on a full year outlook, the company now expects 7 million to 9 million average monthly transacting users, narrowing a range from earlier forecasts. The average is around 8.7 apparently. And Coinbase lost in the 3 months ended June 30 included 446 million in impairment charges related to investments and ventures, making it the largest amount since it became a public company. And here is some more PR spin. Clearly, we acknowledge these are stress market conditions. Nothing to do with the fact that you guys are the biggest shitcoin casino and all the SEC probes, but of course, in response to the SEC probe news, they have to, put their PR spin. We have a zero tolerance policy on front running. Yes, remember Charlie Lee and Coinbase in 2017. Anyways, what does this all mean? I think personally it means that Coinbase is absolutely wreck out there, guys. That, like we've been saying, their business model is floundering. And this is a bear market. So, of course the trading volumes are going to go down. Of course people are going to lose interest because no one likes losing money. But as we have been saying consistently on this show, if Coinbase wants to succeed going further into the future, they are going to have to get back to basics. They are going to have to go back to the golden goose that got them here in the first place. You need to make an emphasis on Bitcoin only products because, man, it's not looking good out there for you guys. You guys are losing market share. You guys are getting wrecked publicly. You guys are losing a shit ton of money. And I mean, look, they did just partner with BlackRock. So it looks like Coinbase might be too big to fail out there because now they have the Cantillon insiders where they can just keep pumping their bags. But shout out to Solomon. He's in the chat. He made a point yesterday about Coinbase and BlackRock, and he said maybe this is BlackRock's way of fudding Coinbase so that they can pick up some cheap stock and pump this baby back up. So, oh no, we failed again on the video. Amazing. Almost made it all the way through. Wreck, guys. Absolutely wreck. But we are back. Anyways, Nico, what's your thought on Coinbase? I know you and I are very adamant Bitcoin only people, and we see what is the problem with Coinbase, but are they just too close to shitcoinery? Are they just too far gone down the shitcoin rabbit hole? You and I always say that Brian Armstrong is an enemy of Bitcoin. Do you think he is worried, or is he just like, hey, whatever, man? Who cares where that Billy went because I can make some more trading shitcoins? And then someone said it like, I wonder where that Billy went because
Dude, I'm very, I want to give a round of applause for the camera. This is a record for it, 52 minutes.
I even put it in the refrigerator to cool it down. I think I'm going to have to go buy a new one, Nico.
Yeah, I think we're at that point, but let's see. Give it a little bit. Give it a little bit of time. Anyways, we got Yellow in the chat. Hold on. Says, we can start the show. Yellow is here. It's okay. Okay. So, man, dude, they're just an evil villain, man. They have their Coinbase is an evil villain. They are listing securities. That's without a doubt. They're in a fight for their lives because if the SEC is basically pushing to declare all these things as security. So yeah, man, it's a shame. And remember, it's unfortunate because Coinbase is the one that teamed up with BlackRock, which is also another evil company like Larry Fink. So yeah, that's what I got to say about that, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And we're running out of time, guys, but I will put it in the notes. You guys need to go check out this thread by Coinbits. I was going to cover it for the fail, but we already did the CPI numbers.
We'll do it tomorrow, brother.
Yeah, we could definitely do it. It's one of those things where it's like we need to get this message out there because the CPI numbers is a fail inherently. So I guess we'll cover it tomorrow. Shouts out to Coinbits. You've been putting out great threads. Let's get into the memes. That's why they're here.
Time for it.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by actual Bitcoiners. This is the artwork for Volume 10. This is the artwork for Volume 11. And this is the artwork for Volume 2. Volume 2 is almost sold out because there's only 1,000 physical copies made per volume. Get your prints of Citadel 21 today before they run out.
All right, Opti. You're up. It's your time to shine.
Okay, guys. This one, I saw this morning. I thought it was hilarious. I'm not the biggest fan of Ledger per se, but I think this is still an awesome meme. Shouts out to All God Trading. He goes, babe, I think I'm pregnant. And she's holding a ledger under his eyes. And he goes, you pissed on my ledger. Oh, man. Okay. This one's by my boy Stacks. We've been covering ETH on the show for a while. And this is a play on a classic meme. If you know the meme, you'll know it. But it goes, the 9 most helpful words in the English language. I am from the Ethereum Foundation, and I'm here to help. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Next one, we were tagged in this one by our boy RDBTC, and he goes, traders versus hodlers. And then we got this guy, the dead NPC. He goes, I just made my 87th trade of the day, and now I've almost broke even. And we got the Chad Bitcoiner. He goes, oh, well, I just DCA'd and hodled and still had time to do my hobbies, eat well, work out, and spent time with the fam. Guys, this is what we tell you guys every single day. Provide the value, save in Bitcoin, and go live your life. Bitcoin will be here when you need it. This is the beauty of Bitcoin. This is what you need to understand. Keep it simple, stupid. Anyways, this is a good one by Max Kaiser. I know I scared Nico right here because I sent a different meme in the chat, but I thought this was a great meme and a post because it's a continuation of yesterday's story. And Max Kaiser goes, a lot of folks were approached by A16Z to flip on BTC. A few took the money. It's pretty easy to figure out who did. I don't judge. People get themselves into trouble and need help. Fact is, Bitcoin maximalism is getting stronger. And then he's got Christine Lagarde here in a meme. He goes, because if there is an escape, that escape will be used. What did we say at the beginning of this show? Literally this exact same thing. And now we have her words, not mine. So what is that escape? What do you need it? Bitcoin. Shout out to Bitcoin Resources. Great. And then this one is a meme Michael Saylor did. I may have a one-track mind, but at least it's on the right track. And shout out to Labra. He's doing these make it a quote. So I may have a one-track mind, but at least it's on the right track. Shouts out to Saylor. Shouts out to Labra. And then, of course, I've been loving whoever is running the Coinbase Twitter account because they are killing it, guys. You guys definitely need to go follow them. They're doing a lot of good memes, a lot of good educational threads. Absolutely killing it over there. And then on the same thread of maximalism dying, they go, see, I told you these horseless carriages are not getting adopted. Horse breeders probably. We are here. Bitcoin, replacement of horses by cars. Yes, this is where we are right now, guys. Connect this with Bitcoin and even shitcoinery. Anyways, since we have the CPI numbers, shouts out to our boys over at Bitcoin Magazine. Don't be fooled. Real inflation is Shaq.
Very,
oh
good.
my God. Okay,
very good.
okay. Let me see what my score will be. I didn't prepare my score today, so let's go with my phone that is hosting spaces right now. So, new score. I need to find new scores. I'm running out of scores here, guys. I will find knickknacks for you guys tomorrow and the rest of the week.
All right, in honor of Yellow. Oh, by the way, guys, this is the meme review. So you could rate, and it's interactive, so you could rate the score yourself while the show is going, and Opti and I will read out the scores. Have fun. Make us feel uncomfortable. Anyways,
Here's Yellow. Says, when you read Lagarde, you have to do the accent. Well, we missed Lagarde, Yellow, but I will do the score in the Lagarde accent. Hello, I'm Christine Lagarde, and I'm going to give it this blue microphone, but Nico upgraded to this very big microphone. I'm still waiting for the cables, but this is the new microphone I'm using from now on.
Nico in this bish with the new mic. We are
I'm excited.
building.
I'm excited.
Hold on. Before we go.
I am building.
That is the Alex Jones mic, by the way, or the one that he used to use. This is the RE20. Bring in the big guns. Anyways, let's read some of the scores. Yellow says, I give one of these. Okay. I'll give it this. Green strip. Go 10. Oh, man. Okay. I give those memes a Giga Chadet Bitcoin Becca. And Bitcoin Becca gives it a I am building. Okay. Awesome scores. All right. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. Looks like there's no more scores. Opti. There's an open source off. No, there's a Pleb site. Pretty sure there's a Pleb site.
Pleb sites.
All right, what do we got for us, Opti? Oh, wait, hold on. Before you do that, I have to give a very special shout out to our awesome sponsor, CipherSafe. Guys, don't be that guy that loses, or that woman, or that girl that loses their seed because they stored it on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage, dog damage. Paper sucks. You really want to store your generational wealth on paper? No, you got to store it on steel. And there's no better place to do it than the CipherSafe's Cipher Grid or the Cipher Wheel. Visit ciphersafe.io so that you don't store your seed on paper. Anyways, Opti, what do you have for us today, brother?
All right, what's up, guys? We are here with a Pleb site, and it is thebitsignal.com. You can get a bunch of goodies, a bunch of cool stickers. Let's check out this shop a little bit. You can see what you're getting, guys. I know you guys don't like to spend your sats, but if you see cool stuff created by Bitcoiners, you got to encourage them to keep creating cool stuff. Send them some sats, guys. Awesome site. And of course, go listen to us on the Google platform, the Spotify, and or Anchor. And if you think we are providing value to you guys, we will take your sats on Fountain. The value for value economy seems to be thriving. You know, it's working. I really love what they're doing over there. Anyways, Nico, let's roll this one out, man.
Let's roll it out. First of all, it looks like we missed someone. Max Trotter gave the memes an empty Rosella pack. I don't know what that is, but it's funny. Anyways, I want to give a special shout out to our awesome sponsor, RepresentLTD.com. They make the most comfortable hoodies ever, and shirts, and merch, and sweatpants. I'm wearing the green camo. I wear this because I feel like I'm in a revolution, so I wear it. It's one of my favorite ones. Opti's wearing the Bitcoin merch. Opti, show them the Bitcoin. It's dope. He's coming out. Look at that. Look at that. Represent. It's comfy. It's stylish. He's coming out. Look at that. Look at that. Look at Opti modeling. Johnny Depp.
Hey,
Johnny
I'm a model
Opti.
now, Nico. You told me I'm a model now.
Opti Depp. Anyways, guys, visit representltd.com, and you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 10% off. representltd.com. Guys, I also want to give a very special shout out to Jacob, the producer from Swan. He helps us host the space. Also, a new member of Simply Bitcoin. He's going to help us do Simply Bitcoin's blog. Is Sats for Life. So keep an eye out for him. We'll give you guys more information. Also, our researcher, the guy's awesome, Hans. Shout out to you, Hans. Dropped 30 to 50 articles on us in the chat last night. Very useful. Love his stuff. Some of the best research on Twitter. Definitely want to give him a follow. Guys, that was our show. We love you all. Thank you guys for coming to the show, like always. And it really, really helps us if you give the show, smash that like button. If you subscribe, if you really find the information valuable. Shout out to everybody, all the plebs in the chat. Becca, Yellow, Mr. Robot, The Great, which I still can't pronounce it. John, Johnny, Erdgon, Shisoka. I still can't pronounce your name. I'll get it. I'll figure it out. Anyways, guys, love you all. That was the show. We will see you tomorrow for a brand new episode.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the